I think you should watch this video because it will resonate. My name's Will Rayleigh. It says it probably in the channel name. But I like to think I'm just a normal guy. I was born in Houston and I moved to El Paso at a pretty young age. Went to public school, had a few jobs, nothing crazy. I worked normal jobs, had a regular family, like nothing notable there. My first job was working at this local pizza place, Artivino's. And I'm told by people who work there, I actually wasn't very good at it, which I didn't know until after the fact, but apparently I wasn't very good at it. I was supposed to assemble salads, and I was just slow, but I worked there for a few months in high school. I did track and then cross country. I had friends. I went to meets and stuff. I did all the usual stuff, like nothing crazy. I think I'm normal. I don't have any particular leg up. I went to the community college there for a bit, dropped out, had a yard work company. That went well. I had to get rid of it because then I moved here to College Station, where I live now. And, it's been a big eye-opener. It's changed my view on a lot of things. I've always had an interest in politics, specifically, and it goes back a long time, really as long as I can remember. In 7th grade, I would talk about it to, my friends and whatever, and even before that, I'd ask questions about it. I had books about the presidents and whatever, and I'd read those, and they teach you about that stuff in school. So, obviously, I kind of was vaguely interested in it. My dad's a historian, so I kind of naturally had an inclination towards that stuff, I think. When Trump first ran, I was a big fan, huge fan, mostly because my dad was a fan. I was in, 5th grade at the time, in 2016 when Trump first ran, but I absolutely was enraptured. I totally supported him. I thought he was going to change the world and all that, but it just didn't end up happening. And I was a little kid, so all my beliefs were just kind of fed to me. But I remember just being a true believer in 2020. I genuinely believed there were abnormalities. I think that they treated Trump unfairly. I think that maybe it was even stolen, the election. I'm not going to comment on that. I think it's in the past. I see no reason to focus on something like that. But this is just to give you a bit of a look at what I believed. But, as I grew, obviously learned more things. And more recently, I've become more disillusioned, especially with Trump's recent behavior. I voted for him. I'm 19 now. I voted for him in the past election. And he's betrayed a lot of his promises. He's not put America first. In my mind, he's put certain very powerful people, rich people, both at home and abroad, first. And hasn't helped that, as of the time I'm recording this, the tariffs just went into effect. Things are bad for most people. Hasn't helped with work. I work in sales. That's another thing about me. When I say regular jobs, I work an okay job. It's a little bit above a menial job, I think. But, with the tariffs and all that, people aren't buying. People don't care to listen to the pitch, which is fine. They don't have to, but it makes all this strike more close to home. And, obviously, the Epstein stuff is just a totally other discussion. But needless to say, he hasn't really kept his promises. I've been very disappointed. Disillusioned, I think, is the best word. And so I wanted to make this channel. Well, I didn't make it, really. It's, my personal channel, but I decided I would upload on it. I wanted to talk about politics because I think I have something to add. Like I said, I've always been interested in it. I thought a lot about it. I read about it. I talk with my friends about it. I decided to post on this channel now because the gist of all that stuff that's been happening. And I have a habit of talking about this stuff already. I post it on Instagram. I make rants about this stuff. Sometimes I spend days preparing a single rant. But, I think it's time, really, if anything. I live here in College Station. I live in my little apartment. I make enough to, pay rent and pay for food and stuff, but not much more. I'm married, actually. My wife's in the other room watching Gilmore Girls or something. But, it's just, I think now's the time. I think I have something to add. And I've always wanted to make a difference. I know that I could. I hate being told what to do. I think I'm a more kind of free-spirited person, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I've always hated taking orders. At my current job, I'm free, but I'm not very stimulated. I can sell to people as they see fit. I don't have any thing to occupy my time with except talking to people, you know, making the same statement a few hundred times a day sometimes. But it just gets exhausting. It's monotonous. I'm not stimulated. I'm not exposed to anything new or novel. And when I did yard work, I certainly was. I mean, every day I was going out doing an estimate, doing something new, you know, no matter how menial it may have been. But I preferred that. I was free and it wasn't menial. And in this, if I do YouTube, I will be free and stimulated. So that's what I want to do. You know, maybe it will go somewhere, maybe it won't. Maybe I'll go right back to doing sales, you know, and be a little bit disappointed for a few more months until I come up with a new idea. You know, I was going to start a business before I did this. I wanted to do like car detailing maybe. I didn't really know. It was a very vague thought. But in College Station, I mean, everybody's so entrenched. It's such a disaster for new business owners, I think, because every business is like, it's backed by one of the people who has a lot of money. It's, you know, well established. It's been here for years and years and years. And part of that is that the town, it's growing so fast, and it's growing so fast because of this growth of like this upper class that provides industry, or not industry, this upper class that provides services to other members of the upper class here. And then, you know, a lot of people come here for college, but then also just to work these jobs. So anyway, I think it just creates a system where the businesses are all kind of interrelated. It's hard to get a start, and it definitely wasn't this way in El Paso. You know what? I'm talking as somebody who started a business, so I don't think this is just speculation. I want to get involved in, you know, local and state politics and stuff. You know, I'm active in various ways, but it's just, gosh, it is such a disaster what's going on out in the world, and, you know, here at home even. You know, things are definitely not better than they were a few years ago. Especially, they're not better than they were, say, 50 years ago. But, you know, while everything slowly rots, I think that now is probably a good chance to get involved, because if everything's failing and falling apart, you know, that gives us some opportunity to do something new, to put out a new idea. And, you know, maybe it fails, and in fact it probably does fail, but if it fails less hard than we're currently failing, I consider it a win. And, you know, I don't have anything to lose. I'm not changing the world right now. I mean, I sell bathrooms at Sam's, but I could change the world, and I can't do it without support, without allies, without people who are going to help me out, and that might be you on the other side of the camera. So you can like it, you can subscribe to the video, share it, whatever. I'll probably be posting it, and, you know, maybe it'll fall through, maybe it won't, but I would urge you, if you want more, to support it. The more other people want it, the more I'm going to want it. Of course, I'm going to want it anyway. I'm going to want to be free and make a difference anyway, but if you want it too, that's just a plus. So anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say. Subscribe to the channel. This is me. This is Will Rayleigh. Bye-bye.